So once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the webinar, which is called Raising Digital Natives. It's a webinar for parents and for educators, and it aims to provide expert insights on digital parenting. My name is Ivona. I'm representing Dante from Croatia. And here is also my colleague Aoife from Meath Partnership from Ireland. And today we will host this webinar. So first, I would just like to say a couple of house rules for today. So please turn off your microphones, and video is kind of optional. If you want to have the video on, it's okay, and off is also okay. Okay, so during this entire webinar, you are free to drop your questions in the chat box. So after our guest speakers, we will have around 20 minutes or half an hour towards the end of the webinar where your questions will be answered. So while our guest speakers are here to share their expertise, so this webinar is also about you. So we would really like for you to share your comments and your questions. Here is what you can expect today. So we, over the next 2 hours, we have 2 guest speakers. So we have Ana Mirković. She's from Serbia, and she's a CEO and co-founder of Digital Communication Institute. She is a consultant for digital transformation and digital marketing projects, and for many years she has also been a consultant for UNICEF Serbia, or advisor for projects related to digital violence. And also our second speaker is Caitriona Cary from Ireland. She's representing CyberSafeKids. She has worked as a primary school teacher for the last 15 years. She has a master's degree in digital marketing, and also she has a special interest in the area of digital well-being. But before we start with our guest speakers, my colleague Aoife, she will tell you more about this project, Digital Upbringing. So it's basically an Erasmus project which enabled us to record this webinar and also to do a lot of activities for educators and for parents. So please, Aoife, maybe you can now say a few words about the project.
Thank you so much, Ivone, and thank you everyone for joining us today. And a particular thanks to our 2 amazing guest speakers. We're really looking forward to hearing you share your expertise and wisdom. And we hope that the parents and educators who've joined today get great, I suppose, information and really benefit from what you have to say. As Ivone mentioned, this Raising Digital Natives webinar is part of the Digital Upbringing project, which is a project being delivered across 6 European countries funded by the Erasmus Plus program. So far in the project, we have delivered some of our objectives and are continuing to do so. So as we do that, we continue to reach out to parents and reach out to educators and try to expand our impact from this project. The project aims to support parents and educators to help their children to develop the digital skills needed to safely navigate this digital world. And we're seeing more and more every day an increase in the number of, I suppose, platforms that are available online, appliances that we can bring into our home that are digital, and then our lifeline here with our mobile phones as well. So this project aims, I suppose, to empower and educate parents around that digital world. As I mentioned, there's 6 partners, 6 European countries, from Ireland, Croatia, Romania, the Netherlands, Hungary, and Cyprus. And each partner will work together to deliver a webinar. So at the end of my presentation, we'll have information about an additional 2 webinars that are open to parents. So far in the project, we have developed a set of workshops designed specifically for parents. And these cover 6 topics, so information and data literacy, communication and collaboration, digital content creation, digital safety, digital problem solving, and facilitating your child's digital competencies. So as we continue to progress through the project, we will be delivering these as well. And you can reach out to your country's representative. In Ireland, that would be myself. In Croatia, that would be Ivane. If you're interested in having these workshops run as a group, or maybe in a school or a youth organisation. As well as that, we have developed intergenerational family workshops. So these workshops bring together parents and guardians with the children, typically aged 8 to 14. And we have 6 workshops available there as well on balanced device use, digital identity, emotional intelligence, empowering independence, learning apps and AI, and online safety. Again, we are delivering these workshops. So if you're interested in perhaps running some of these workshops, we'd be happy to come out and facilitate that for you. Finally, as well, we're doing a number of, as I mentioned, webinars, but we also have a digital parenting podcast series, which is available in each of the 6 languages of our partner countries. And we'll also be hosting digital family celebrations later in the year, and inviting families from each country to come and participate with us. For more information, you can take a look on our website, Digital Upbringing, and you can either scan that QR code there as well, or we'll share the website with you in a follow-up email. And all of the resources that we have developed are available on this website. So they'll be available to any educators who are looking to participate. For now, I'll pass it back to Ivane to introduce our first guest speaker.
So now it's time for our first guest speaker, Ana Mirković. So Ana will offer strategies for parents on how to cope with changes in a rapidly changing world of technology. Ana, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ivone. Thank you. I'm Ana, and Ivone mentioned so many things that I'm doing at this moment, but actually I'm a psychologist, and I think that is the most important for this actually lecture. And also I'm a mom of 2 teenagers. One is from Generation Z, and my son is from Generation Alpha. And I'm combining academical approach with everyday life and a lot of challenges that all parents actually are dealing at this moment. I will share my presentation and now, just a moment. Do you see my slide?
Yes.
Yes, you can see it. Okay, so today we are going to talk about skills of the new era or new age, and how to empower children to build digital immunity. Talking about skills of the new age, we are actually calling that a new skill set that is here to improve our knowledge and abilities that are necessary for all of us here and now. And I want to mention, I will combine actually presentation with the possibility to see your faces of those people who are still on video call. I always need that feedback of non-verbal gestures, but it's okay. I have you, Yvonne and Elsie. Okay, I think that thank you so much. Talking about new era skills is actually talking about skills, but new era actually demands some adaptation of skills that we already know and we already actually tried in our lives since we are existing in this world. And you will see that, and you will actually recognize that when I pass through my presentation. So one really important new age skill is critical thinking. So if we do not have critical thinking, we are not capable to understand the world where we live now and the world, how it's going, and actually what is happening in this moment. And the critical thinking is ability to analyze and critically evaluate information from various sources, including media and to draw rational conclusions. This is really important because talking about digital era, we are talking about digital communication, and we are talking about digital platforms and applications and online games, and everything is in this digital actually space. And without our capability to understand how it works and to try to look at this world from different angle is something that for sure will make us not prepared for the new era. So critical thinking is to think from my angle and my point of view, but also every time when I hear something, when I see something, I want to see how some different person are look on this situation and try to see every phenomena and every situation from 2 or 3 different angles, actually. Critical thinking is really important for digital literacy, and that is actually the second skill for a new era, ability to effectively use technologies and digital tools, computers, mobile devices, software, and social networks, but not only that. It's not only to know to use these tools, but to use it smartly. And it's not only about technical approach, but to think about content that we are producing and share with people, and content that are coming to ourselves. So I see this post. Why I see this post? And what is the main message of this post? And what type of perception is actually provoke this post? Is it my capability to hear, to see, to feel, to how should I understand this message? And now, when we are living in the era of civilization, when we are all overspammed with the information, and at this moment, even if we are spending only 4 hours on internet, 4 hours per day, and our kids in Serbia are spending from 5 to 7 hours per day on internet, but even if we are spending 4 hours, we are receiving more than 17,000 messages. So we are overspent. And considering psychology and science, we are now dealing with one phenomenon named and recognized as retroactive inhibition. And that means that every new message that are coming to my brain is pushing the previous one in forgetting zone. And it's really hard to remember everything that we are actually achieving through all these messages through the day. At the end of the day, we are capable to remember only 3 messages, but we are overspammed with so many messages. And digital literacy is actually our skill to understand how the world of information and communication is changing, and to try to understand why we are feel and behave like we are feeling and behaving at this moment. People are actually sharing that they are under the stress. 98% of Serbian kids in a research say that they are under the stress on the daily basis. 98. Only 2% of our kids are not under the stress. More than 80% of our kids feel anxious every day or very often. And more than 70% of our kids feel depressive on every day or very often. And this information spam is one of the reasons. The second one is family relations and how we are actually communicate in the family. So critical thinking, digital literacy, and I open the topic of communication. Its ability to communicate effectively with others, both in written and oral form, and to use different methods. What is really important considering communication? Communication is sending message from sender, me now, obviously, to recipients of the message through the proper channel on the proper time with one aim, one goal: you to hear me and to understand me. The main goal of communication is to understand each other. And now we are communicating a lot, and the communication is very intensive, and we are sending so many messages, replying on so many messages, but we are not committed to understanding each other and teaching our kids and provoking listening among them, and empower our capabilities to listen to each other is our main task in communication. Listening is really hard. While I'm talking, I can say 120 words in a minute, and your capabilities are to hear more than 600 words in a minute. That means that focusing on something that the partner in communication is speaking is really hard. The old Latin said that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth because listening is double more important than talking. But we are living in a world focusing on what I should say, what I have to write. I have to say something really smart. Listen to me. I'm the most important. Listen, my attitude. I have to say it again. Yes, as I already mentioned. So everything is about this ego actually approach, and that is nothing with communication. Communication is to be focused on the other side and all the time to try the other person or a lot of them to hear you and understand you. That is our main topic and the most important skill. I already mentioned that we are living in egocentric era, and we are totally focused on our own needs, our own wishes, our values. And Oxford actually defined the post-truth as a term of the year a few years ago. Post-truth means that we do not even look for the truth. We are looking for the truth that is similar and connected with our truth, with our beliefs, with our values. And in this era, it's really hard to explain to parents here in Serbia that teamwork, collaboration is something that is most important in these days. So everyone is actually focused on opportunities for each own child. My child has to go to music class and to learn language and to do best in mathematics test. So teamwork, push your kids and provoke collaborative interaction. People are social beings, and we are social even in prenatal phase. We need other people before our birth, and we need people around us till the end of our life. It's really important to be focused on society and to create community. And the parents should actually inspire and motivate their kids to work as a team workers. And that is really important. In that setup, kids will be able to learn how to listen to each other, to learn how to understand emotions, to learn empathy. Without that, no empathy at all. And I will talk about that a little bit later, actually on this slide. So empathy is really important, and empathy is the most important part of emotional intelligence. It's our ability to understand and respect others' feelings and needs, as well as to cultivate genuine relationship with others. We are talking very much about empathy, and we have a deficit of empathy all around the world for decades. Because empathy is not only, oh, you are sad and I will do my best to be as sad as you are, or you are happy. Okay, yuppie, I'm happy too. Empathy is actually the situation when you provide a chance to yourself to look at the world from some other's shoes, like Depeche Mode said. It's really important to be capable to see the situation from some other's shoes. And that is also a very hard and very complex task. And also, empathy is connected with emotional intelligence in the way that you should understand, on the first place, your own emotions in order to be able to understand some others' emotions. And I will share some knowledge and some research results. Nowadays, our kids are actually handling one new phenomena named the terror of happiness. Parents nowadays are really, they are not able to accept that their children can feel some other emotions than happiness and joyness. And one friend of mine, she's a psychotherapist, she told me that our kids here in Balkans country are in big stress because if they are sad and share the information about sadness to their parents, oh, mom, I don't feel well today, I'm so sad or angry, or I'm mad, or I'm jealous. Parents are like, why? What's going on? Why are you not happy? You have everything that you need. You have your new phone, you have a new shoes, you have opportunity to travel. I don't understand your emotions. And that is really bad. If you are not capable and you are not able to understand your own emotions, you will never be able to understand some others' emotions. And that is really important skill. There is no tolerance, there is no empathy without introspection. And introspection is one term from psychology, and that means our actually capability to understand our own internal processes. So it's always good to feel sad. It's painful and it's not comfortable. It can be really hurtful, but when I'm sad, I really know what is important for me and how important is some person I just lost. So it's really important to be able to understand our own emotions in order to understand some others' emotions. Then we can say that we are capable for empathy. One new era skill, and actually all era skill, but actually I'm bringing this skill in the new context, is flexibility. A lot of parents are talking about boundaries and how we should define boundaries. So how many time my kids are going to spend in front of the screen, how many time or how much time kids are going to play, to learn, to practice some sport or something. And the most strong and the most important part of every system is the most flexible one. So it's really important to be flexible nowadays. It's important to define boundaries, but you have to be able to be flexible every time when flexibility is needed, because flexibility is learning our kids to adapt and to feel adapted on changes that are actually going on all the time. So we are living in fast-changing period of civilization, and everything is changing rapidly fast. And if we are rigid, if we do not have capacity to do things a little bit different, to change approach, to be flexible enough, we are in the huge problem. That's why flexibility, or our ability to adapt to changes, new situations, and challenges, to quickly change approach and strategy, is really important new era skill. Autonomy. ability to take responsibility and initiative to make decisions independently and to take control of one's life and career. This is really important. My experience is that we are living, and I'm sure that you are sharing that actually, Phil, we are living in fast changing world. And the time is passing so fast. And somehow we are losing control over our day's duties and activities. And a lot of parents actually sharing the acknowledgement that they are not spending enough time with their kids. And if they have guilty trip, and all of us have this guilty trip some days, let's say very often, we are trying actually to solve some problems for our kids instead of them. And very often we are in situation, okay, mom will do this instead of you, dad will drive you to the training, and kids are like 13 or 14 and they're like, oh mom, I can do it myself. But we are, no, please allow me to participate and to help you and to support you. And that is not actually the real support. We have to provoke, we have to motivate our kids to develop their autonomy, to do all the things they can do by themselves. This is really important psychologically. Sometimes it's really hard to actually accept that they can do a lot of things without our help or by themselves, and we need to support them all the time. We have to improve their skill to solve all the problems they can, challenges, not on problems. If they can do it by themselves, support them. That is the way to develop their autonomy. Okay, introspection. I already mentioned this new era skill. Introspection, self-reflection, self-observation, observing one's thoughts and feelings. This is really important. Nowadays, we are talking that our kids are always in front of the screens and they're never bored. And a lot of neurologists and the pediatrics will say that they need to be bored sometimes. They have to handle that situation. And in that situation, they can be very creative and very innovative. But now, when they have a lot of TikTok's content and they are spending all the time on Instagram stories, and when they have a lot of digital actually challenges they are facing all the time, they have no time to be bored. Introspection needs a time that you are totally focused on your internal processes. And we can actually teach and learn our kids to be more introspective. We should ask them questions. How do you feel? Why do you think that you have this feeling today? What happened? Sometimes, especially in teenage years, kids are closed and they have wall between parents and themselves. And they're like, oh, I don't want to talk about this. But parents should be patient and should be focused on the moments when we have that eye contact to ask something, not big questions, not tell me what is the most important in your life happening today. What is going on? How do you feel? Tell me something about your friend. Is Lucia happy in relationship? How was it in school today? So some generic questions in order to create two-way channels communication. And when we have two-way channel communications, provoke the questions that are actually develop introspection. Why do you feel like that? Did you ever feel like that before? Can you connect that with some situation situation. In teenage year, you know, the sadness is the main actually emotion, and kids are always sad and not satisfied, but it's okay. We just need to provoke them to think about their own feelings. Without that, they will never have capacity for empathy, and they will never actually develop their emotional intelligence. When we are talking about all these skills, we are talking about prevention of digital bullying. When we develop and help our kids to develop these skills, the chance of being victim in digital space is lower. And this is actually the part of presentation when I want to share some different types of digital bullying. Here in Balkanese country, but also in Cyprus, when I'm working a lot, parents are aware of cyberbullying. But when we are talking about some other actually cyberbullying types, they do not have actually enough info about that. So I want to share the information that there are a lot of digital bullying manifestation, and I choose some of them. The first one is cyberbullying. More than 90% of our kids are suffering from cyberbullying, and when we are talking about cyberbullying, we are talking about actually peer bullying in digital space. And a lot of kids suffering from cyberbullying, a lot of kids provoking cyberbullying and are aggressive towards others. And a lot of kids, let's say all the children in the world, sometimes saw that someone is bullying some other person. So it's everywhere, every day, and a lot of kids are involved, at least as watchers, as someone who is watching that something is going on, but do nothing to stop it or to prevent it. Cyberbullying is every situation when they say you are ugly, you are stupid, I don't want to share this space with you, and that is really, really hurtful for a kid who is suffering. And parents are like, oh, it's nothing. They didn't mean that. Just remove your profile from that platform. This is not serious type of bullying, but it's not true, actually. Digital bullying is a mixture, is all aggressive behaviors in one. So there are a lot of verbal bullying, emotional bullying, psychological bullying. Very often that can actually become physical bullying, a lot of sexual bullying, a lot of social bullying. If you are a part of a WhatsApp group and someone remove you from that WhatsApp group, it's a social harassment. And kids are really sad because of that. And all these actually aggressive behaviors are mixed in digital era. And all of them can be the part of cyberbullying. And that's why this is really terrible experience for our kid. Also, we have grooming. I will explain sexting, sextortion, pornography, live streaming. Talking about grooming, it's the situation when one old or older person are pretending to be actually the person who has the same years and same age like our kid, and start the conversation on social media. Kids want to be accepted. Kids want to have capacity to animate the people around them. Kids like to be listened and understand. They need that. And groomers are totally focused and totally into that story. So they have a lot of time, they are passion, a lot of passion. They are totally dedicated in making connection with our kids. Sometimes they are waiting for a few months or few years even to open our children for communication with them. Once when child start to share the intimacy and some really personal details, that groomer has the space for manipulation over our child. And when they have a lot of content, a lot of information about our child, they will say, if you don't do this for me, you don't send me a naked photo, you don't send me something I really want from you, I will share this content with all the people, all your people, all people that are, who are important to you. And very often, groomers want actually to achieve one goal, and that is sexual harassment over our children or child. And that is a really bad situation. And that is happening, this situation is happening very often, especially since COVID, because our kids are spending much more time in front of their screens, and the parents are not in that space as they used to be before COVID, because that COVID actually turned this into space. We have sexting. That is actually merged sexual behavior and texting, two words that are so common to teenage years of our kids. And that is the situation when a child is actually initiate the process of creating digital bullying by sending some really, really personal content about themselves, like naked, erotic, or even pornography content, photos and videos, but only to one person, and that person is someone our child has trust to and believe that that person is someone choose for the whole life. That is the first partner or someone they want to impress. Very often, this content is without their control till the end of their lives. And when I'm sharing this actually experience with kids from high schools here in Serbia, they immediately take their phones in the hands and start to delete these messages. But the chance that someone didn't even screenshot that or save that content is really small. The next level of digital bullying is sextortion, when they torture each other and actually manipulate each other by the content they owned from some other person. So if you don't give me the money, I will share this on TikTok. And if you don't sleep with my friends, I will share this on Instagram on with your community. And that is something that is really, really, really stressful for the kids. We have also pornography. Parents do not think about pornography as a digital bullying actually option, but it is, especially for kids under the 10 years old. Pornography is something they perceive like very aggressive content, very inappropriate. But even if they look at this content later, I'd say later from 10 to 13 or 14 years, and here in Serbia we have research that 8 from 10 boys and 6 from 10 girls are watching pornography content till the age of 14. And that is actually define their psychosexual identity, the expectations from partner, their behavior, that they want to change partners all the time. So pornography is something that is really available for them on internet and social media, and they can be really distracted by this content. Live streaming is when some adults people are actually arranging some sexual game and live stream that game, but all this content is based on kids activities. They are actually pushing kids into these sexual games, and some strange and some, I have to say, let's say strange people all around the world on darknet are paying to watch kids in these sexual games. And for a long time, even police thought that this is something just for darknet and the wide public will never be able to see what is going on with kids. But it's not true, because with a phone and screen, you can actually record or screenshot this content, and that is something that can be shareable. And every time when kid or victim see actually that content, we have that phenomenon named re-traumatization and re-victimization, and that is something really, really stressful for our kid. All digital era and new era skills have the task to develop digital immunity of our kids. We are talking a lot about our health and the body immunity, but we do not talk about digital immunity. Developing and raising kids who has all these new era skills provide digital immunity and the capacity to be safer in a digital space. But talking about specific skills and if we want actually to emphasize all these skills and to see what is the most important, it's collaboration. We meant that when we talk about teamwork, give an opportunity to our kids to work among other kids, to listen to learn to listen to them, to learn how to empathize with them, to learn to be a team player. That is really important, and that is collaboration. The second one is self-actualization, and it's connecting with developing of autonomy. Leave your kid to solve all the situations and to face all challenges they can face. This is really, really important for develop their self-actualization. The third one is totally actually old skill, but now we are bringing it on a new way. It's self-control. We have to improve this skill among our children. They have to have self-control. If they publish one post on TikTok and one kid is commenting, "You are ugly," no, a part of second, our kid will answer, "Yes, but you are ugly." "No, but you are stupid." No, let's teach them to count till 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are like, "Okay, I will not answer." I'm asking all the children among Serbia on my lectures, how and can you actually can you see and can you understand how the person who writes bad things on social media is feeling? Is that happy person? Is that self-confident person? Is that the person who believes that the world is in him or her hand? And they will say, "No, it's sad person. It's someone who do not have a lot of empathy and no one is taking care about them." And we need only 6 to 10 seconds to realize that we are not that type of person. If someone is writing bad things and try actually to put us in a victim position, it's not about us, it's about them. They are not happy and I will ignore them. So it's about self-control. And at the end, but for me, really the most important is empathy. Provoke empathy among your kids. Every time when they are in some situation, ask them, how would you feel in the same situation? How do you understand this, what is going on? What should we do? How would you actually behave in this situation. Provoke them to think about the others and to understand other people. Barack Obama said, I think 20 years ago, that the main problem of civilization of the whole world is not the lack of oil and money, but the lack of empathy. And that is really, really painful that we actually achieved nothing in the last 2 decades. And if we can measure, and some nations are measuring empathy, we are in downsizing on the all parts of the this planet. And at the end, for all parents and all people, I want to say that even if we are living in materialistic and world that is actually putting in pedestal all material things like money, like fashion, like shoes, like cars, like phones, all the most important things in our life are totally no cost, not low cost, but no cost. And all these things are the most important for each person on this planet. When we are hugging each other, we are provoking actually the neurotransmitter named oxytocin. And we are calling this hormone of love, of joyness and trust. And we need to hug each other. Every time when we smile to each other, we are actually activate the mirror neurons in the brains of the others. So people are smiling to us. One kid will smile 200 times per day. The adult person will smile actually less than 20 times per day. We should smile much more, to be with our friends, to sleep till the midnight, because we do not have melatonin if we do not sleep between midnight and 2 hours in the morning. Families, kisses, love, laughing, and creating good memories in online and offline world, because if you can notice, actually all skills are the same, but the way we are developing and focusing on them in this new era is a little bit different. And somehow we have to be flexible enough to deal with the world that is changing all the time and to adapt and change all these skills. So that's everything from me.
Ana, thank you so much for that. I hope our parents and educators really benefited from your presentation. So thank you so much. And we will be sharing the slides as well in the follow-up email. So Ana, thank you again.
Thank you.
Moving on now to our next speaker. So Caitriona Cary, as we introduced her earlier, has joined us now. So Caitriona has worked as a primary school teacher for 15 years. And prior to that teaching career, Caitriona completed her BA in English Literature and now has a master's degree in digital marketing. And having worked with children from a range of socioeconomic backgrounds, Caitriona has a special interest in the area of well-being in educational settings, and is also passionate about the importance of using technology for learning in a safe and informed way. Caitriona, I'll pass it over to you now. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Aoife. Hi, everyone. That was very interesting, Ana. I just caught the second half there. Can everybody hear me? Maybe Aoife, you could let me know.
Yes, we can hear you and see your presentation as well.
See my presentation. So hi, everyone. Thanks for the intro, Aoife. I won't bore you by reintroducing myself. Yes, I work for CyberSafeKids. So yes, so what we do, as I said, we're an Irish registered charity established in 2015. So what we do is we go out into the community, we go into schools and we provide sessions for children, typically from 3rd to 6th class. We go in, our aim is not to demonize technology, but just to provide them with some tips and tools to keep them safe when they are online engaging with technology. We also do webinars like these. We do some commercial work, and also parents' evenings as well, where we give our we advise parents on how to tackle this, because we know that parents are feeling very overwhelmed. I think it's fair to say there's been huge awareness in the media at the moment about our young people using social media. It is overwhelming. I'm not sure if anyone saw a recent article on the Irish Times mentioning some research that we conducted, telling us that almost a quarter of our 6-year-olds in Ireland have their own smartphone. So that's quite a disturbing statistic. Almost a quarter of 6-year-olds in Ireland have their own smartphone. So yeah, I think it's important that if we think of it like this, when we're teaching our child how to ride a bike, we invest a lot of time and energy in that. We show them how to do it. We model the behavior perhaps. And I feel we need to invest the same time and energy into guiding our young people when they're using technology, because it's overwhelming for them too. And it's about teaching them good critical thinking skills, because what they are doing is they're oversharing, and privacy is not a concept our kids are putting value on nowadays. It's popularity over privacy, unfortunately, and they need to be taught the skills. So I'm going to start, if that's okay. So the first screen you should be looking at there is a campaign that we're running currently in association with the Irish Parents Council of Ireland and Accenture. And really the campaign, the title of the campaign is Same Rules Apply. So what does that mean? That means that as parents, we should be applying the same rules to parenting our children online as we apply to parenting our children offline. So when I go into schools and I talk to young people, I say to them, would you go up to a stranger on the street and give them your phone number or give them your house address? Would you go up to a stranger on the street and say, here's my parents' bank details or their bank account number? And it's funny because suddenly they find that really jarring. So they know that is not something they would do, and you ask them, well, why wouldn't you do that? And they know, they say, well, it mightn't be safe. You're sharing something with strangers. And then you say, but you're okay to do that online. Why are we doing that online? And they do seem to understand the correlation there, but it's just interesting. So this is our campaign at the moment, and I'm just going to play this short video for you.
As parents, we'd never allow this to happen offline, so why allow it online? Giving your child unsupervised access to the online world means you're also giving the online world unsupervised access to your child. Remember, online or offline, same rules apply.
Yeah, so I think that should be pretty clear. Consistency is key. As parents, we know that, and we know they're oversharing. So modeling good behavior there is the points to take away from that. This screen you're looking at here now is our mission statement. So what we aim to do in the community. So we aim to empower children, parents, and teachers to navigate the online world in a stronger, smarter, and safer way. And as I said, we're not aiming to demonize technology. We always point out the benefit, and can be themselves in school. Oh yeah, we use it for research and projects and communicating, and gaming, of course, is such a huge part of it all now. And what some parents may not be aware of is the gaming community is becoming quite a toxic environment, and a lot of young people are experiencing cyberbullying within gaming, in the chat boxes, and also in terms of grooming and so on, which I'll get onto a little bit later. So I'll move on there. So just briefly, what we will be looking at today, we're going to look at what our children are doing online, the main areas of risks, and how we can enable them to develop healthy habits. So let's go straight into looking at what actually our children are doing online. So we conducted some research, and we have found that well, what percentage of 8 to 12-year-olds have experienced at least one type of cyberbullying? So have a look yourself. What would you say there? So actually, almost a quarter of 8 to 12-year-olds have reported experiencing cyberbullying. And now we're going to go and look at, this is quite interesting, we're going to look at our trends and usage report. So what we know, and this data was collected anonymously from over 4,300 8 to 12-year-olds in the academic year 22-23. So you'll see there that YouTube is by far the most popular, but with 76% of 8 to 12-year-olds reporting using YouTube, followed by WhatsApp and TikTok at 39 and 37%, and Snapchat also at 37%. I think Snapchat seems to be losing a bit of popularity now. In my research, when I go out to schools, I always ask them, what social media platforms are you using? And I really notice an increase in the gaming though. So 93% of 8 to 12-year-olds reported owning their own smart device. 84% have their own, at least one social media for gaming with strangers online, and 25% have, as I mentioned previously, have reported experiencing bullying online, and 26% have seen or experienced something online in the past year that has bothered them. So just some interesting stats there. Some of them are quite jarring. But I suppose we need to address this. This is what's happening. So why are our young people using social media so much? Why are they spending so much of their time? With 84% of them, 8 to 12-year-olds on social media. Of course, we know that the legal age for use of social media in the platforms in Ireland is 13. But in reality, we know a huge number of kids under the age of 13 are accessing these devices. There's not enough accountability with the platform owners. It's just a matter of putting in a date of birth, sticking in a name, and they're in. So really, the platform owners need to be more accountable there. So why are they using it? Well, it's fun. It's free. It's fun. It's entertaining. They can communicate with their friends. Sense of community and share in their peers' lives. So it's very appealing, and that is why they are using it. So yeah, the legal age rating is 13, but as I said, age assurance is lacking from the platform owners. And in Ireland, then the digital age of consent is set at 16, which means really that younger people still need parental permission until the age of 16. Let's move on there. So, as I said, gaming is really increasing in popularity, and they're gaming on a variety of devices. It could be mobile, console, PC, and what's the draw? So there's a massive competitive aspect to it, with multiplayer games, and then you've got communities such as Twitch and Discord. You know, there's a gambling. So gambling within gaming, there's that aspect to it as well. So any parent, I'm sure, will be familiar with these ones: Roblox, Minecraft, Grand Theft Auto, and it really is a huge draw for them. So I would like to draw your attention to a website. It's the PEGI website. So Pan-European Gaming Information is what that stands for. So PEGI is a really useful guide for parents to help inform parents make informed decisions when they're purchasing video games for your child. So PEGI offers us information as a guide on 2 levels. So the first level, if you think of a movie, it has an age restriction labeled on it. So it's much the same. What PEGI do is they give you a breakdown of all the games on their website, and they give you an age label. So you know if your child's playing Fortnite, how old, what age rating goes with that game. And then it also gives us information. It also tells us, gives us some content descriptors. So that means that if the game features has a gambling component, if there's violence in the game, if there's sex, drugs, bad language, it will be labeled. The content descriptor will tell us. So it's a really useful resource for parents. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. It's PEGI, and it's a very useful tool. So I'll so just there before we move on, 15% of 8 to 12-year-olds reported playing over 18s games, with boys much more likely than girls to do so still. But girls are reporting playing more now too. So 83% then of 9 to 17-year-olds believe the internet is positive and that good elements exist. And of course, as I said, we don't want to demonize technology, and we have to acknowledge this. And this is the world we're living in. We need to equip our young people to live in this world. So some of the positives then, and I always highlight these to our young people, so creation and communication, education, obviously, so many amazing educational resources out there, fun and collaboration. So this now is a project that Minecraft have put together, and it's an example of how you can get involved in using technology in a positive way with your child. So I'm just going to show you, it's a short clip, how you could engage with your child in a positive way with technology. Have a look. Yeah. Have we lost our sound? Maybe Aoife, can you hear the video there?
We could hear it initially, Caitriona, but we can't hear it now.
Yeah, okay. Look, it's a very short clip. It's a Minecraft project video, so we'll just move on from it. It's just you can Google it. It's the Minecraft project, Earth project, and it's just an example of how you can engage online with your child. You can access the resources at the end of the session here as well. So I'll put up a QR code, and you can take a screen grab, and it will be in there if that's okay. So I'll move on. Is that okay, Aoife? Okay, so what risks are our children exposed to? Let's have a look. Okay, so privacy loss, of course, cyberbullying, grooming, sexting, pornography, scams, and then gambling or gaming specifically within gambling. So privacy loss is huge because our children are oversharing. So we really need to encourage them not to disclose their personal information. If they're setting up an account, setting up a social media account, not to use their photograph, maybe to use an emoji or an avatar instead, not to use their real name, and to share as little information as possible. So here is a character, an avatar we use when we're showing the kids in school, an example of, so Annie Moore is the young girl, and she set up a TikTok account. So this is her bio on her profile here, and you can see that she is really oversharing. If you look at the bio underneath her, where it says edit profile there, it says just 13, new to TikTok, living with dad in Howth and at St. Mary's school. So she's really oversharing a lot of personal information there. So what we try and do is encourage the children not to share any of that information and give away as little as possible. She's sharing a lot there. You can see there, she has friends and followers. It's very unlikely that she knows all of those people personally. And also she's sharing her location. So not a good idea. And just to remind our young people to share as little as possible. Also, when your child sets up a social media account, such as TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat, those accounts are public by default. Now, that means that it is up to the child or you as a parent to ensure that their privacy settings are switched on, because otherwise their account is public by default and absolutely anybody can see exactly, has access to anything that they post or pictures or personal information. It's really important. It's probably the most important point we make when we go and talk to young people in schools, is to make sure within your app that your privacy settings are switched on, and there's a screen grab there of the privacy settings, and all they have to do is slide that toggle over to the right until it is green, meaning they're making their account private, and only their family or friends has access to their personal information. So that is really, really important that they switch their accounts, because the platform owners don't really protect our children in that way, and we need to take action ourselves. So this slide here now is an example. Imagine your child goes to the park with the dog, and they take a photo of the dog, and they want to post a picture of the dog to their Snapchat account, for example, and they want to post it in they post it in real time. In other words, they post it when they're in the park. So the problem that a lot of our children don't realize, they are not just posting a picture of the dog, they are also disclosing, by doing that, they're revealing their time and location, which can be extracted from the photo. So all anybody needs to do is scroll down under the photo that they have posted. You don't know who's out there. They could have nefarious intentions. They can see the exact time and location, the date stamp and time are on it, and they can track or trace your child to their exact location. You can see Annie there, our little avatar. She's up at the Titanic Museum in Belfast, and she's pinned herself on Snapchat, which is not a good idea. So if your child is using Snapchat, they need to make sure that they switch on ghost mode. It's a setting within Snapchat, which means that they're not visible. Their location can't be tracked. So just to recap, my first point on the previous slide, that was make sure if your child is using a social media app that their privacy settings are switched on, because they will be public by default when they set up the account. And the other second important point is that always check with your child that their location settings are always switched off. Excuse me. So it's really important. Privacy settings on, location settings off. So, excuse me. So that their location can't be extracted from photos, because that's what happens, unfortunately. So so she located, as Annie there, she displayed her location on Snap Maps, and by pinning her photo. Excuse me. So yeah, just to make sure the location settings on devices and apps are off. Now, excuse me, moving on to our digital footprint then. So as a recap, our digital footprint is a trace of everything that we leave behind when we're online. So anything at all that we do online is out there. It's very, very hard to erase it. Once we put something online, it's there for all time, more or less. Excuse me. And this can, of course, have long-term or even legal consequences. So we have to be careful and encourage our young people to be very, very aware of the fact that sometimes it's very easy just to click a button when you're behind a screen and not think of the consequences, because what happens is there's a certain disinhibition, which is really a lack of fear when a child is online sometimes, or they're up in their room and they're not thinking of the consequences, and they just, they post a picture, they send a message, they accept a request from a stranger, or they post something inappropriate. What they really need to be realizing is that our digital footprint is so important, and it's important to have a digital footprint as going into the future. It can have long-term consequences for them. So some tips then. So to encourage them to think before posting, and never to overshare images of themselves or indeed others, which can have serious legal consequences. I'm sure some of you will be familiar with Coco's Law. I won't go into it now, but it's very important that they know that their actions have consequences. And to look at it in a positive way, just some interesting stats there. So managers, out of 1,000 managers surveyed, 70% reported using social media to research the prospective of the job applicant. 66% of managers will research candidates online, And I find this stat really interesting. 40% of applicants are rejected because of inappropriate pictures or videos that they posted online. That's a large percentage. And I mean, even as adults, we could probably learn something from that as well. We just have to be so mindful that these actions can have long-term consequences and affect our young people's futures. So just to be aware of that. And I'm going to move on now. I know Anna touched on cyberbullying there. I was very interested in what she had to say. So hopefully we won't be overlapping now, Anna. So I'll just do a brief piece about it. So cyberbullying, our definition is that it's targeting somebody deliberately online using technology. Now, often when I ask the children in class during the sessions what they define cyberbullying as, they often say, oh, it's, you know, it's nasty name calling or posting nasty comments. But what they tend to overlook is the fact that it's not just name calling. As we know, cyberbullying can be can take the form of exclusion from groups as well, creating fake profiles to target or threaten. It can be sending hurtful messages or using photos without permission, and or indeed the nasty comments. Why?
May I interrupt shortly?
Okay. Why are our young people, why are they engaging in cyberbullying? So as I said previously, there's disinhibition. They're not thinking of the consequences. There's a loss of empathy. So like Anna said, we have to really, really emphasize the importance of empathy with our young people and encouraging them to put themselves in someone else's shoes and imagine how they would feel, etc. And then there's the bandwagoning thing. So bandwagoning meaning just, you know, being a sheep and doing what they think they should do and not having the confidence to stand up. So what we encourage them to do is to be an upstander and not a bystander, and to use good critical thinking skills again, and question everything they see online. So yeah, that's our how do we combat cyberbullying then? Okay, so just to remind them that the same social rules apply online as offline. Encourage our young people to develop positive digital media literacy skills and to foster empathy, as I said, to encourage them to be upset. Okay, and to reduce their exposure as well. I think it's really, really important that to encourage your child, if something does happen, if they do see something inappropriate or upsetting online, that they stay calm, perhaps take a screenshot of it with their phone and encourage them to do that, to never reply or engage, to take a stop, block and tell is what we say. So to stop what you're doing, block the sender, and to tell a trusted adult, you know, there are good supports out there. And to keep, I think communication is key when we're, you know, teaching our young people about using social media and being online and cyberbullying and all of these things we're discussing, to encourage opening the channels of communication with your young person and making sure that they feel comfortable, that they can come to you if they do see something and they're not afraid that they're going to get in trouble. You know yourself, sometimes we're looking at something online and something pops up, you weren't looking for it. And to say to them it's okay, and always tell an adult to block and report. And also very important that you check your own child's device, because you know, we have to take ownership as well. We can't just say, okay, parental controls are great, but it's not just about parental controls. It's about not allowing your child under the age of 13 access to a phone in their bedroom after 8 o'clock at night, where you don't know what they're looking at. It's really, really important that I think any child under the age of 12 should only be permitted to use a device in a shared space where you can monitor and control the situation. And some parents ask me, you know, can I look at my child's phone? Of course. When you give the child the phone in the first place, I think you lay out some ground rules and you can tell them straight out, these are the rules in my home. If you're using your phone, I will be checking it. Now, it's a different story when the child is maybe over the age of 14 and there's privacy and all these things and trust. But when they're under the age of 13, they're in your home, you have the rights, and you can explain that to them when you give them the phone. But I do believe phones should be used in a shared space when the child is under 13 and not in bedrooms. You don't know who they're talking to, and what that those people's intentions are. So yeah, check their privacy settings and check their friends list. If you do encounter, if your child does encounter something that's very serious, there are supports there. You could talk to your child's school. The Gardaí are very good. There's a lot of supports in place, and there's a really good website called hotline.ie. They have, that's what they do. They deal with serious complaints that adults or guardians would like to register about something their child has maybe seen online that's disturbing or maybe illegal. So hotline.ie, have a look at that also. And now, this is Orla. Orla is a volunteer that works with us in CyberSafeKids. She is in her early 20s now, and when Orla was a teenager, she moved to France with her family. And she, you know, it was a big transition for her, and she was in a new country. French was not her first language. She was trying to make friends and settle into a new school, etc. All of those challenges, but she was being bullied in school, and the girls in her class were cyberbullying her when she went home, because we know now, I don't know how old you guys are, but I know when I was in school, bullying existed, at least maybe when you went home from school. The bullies didn't have 24-hour access to you. Now our young people are facing such challenges that they can be accessed or targeted 24/7 when there's no shut off from it. It was different before mobile phones and all of these devices. I'm really now give my age away here, but anyway, so this is Orla's story. It's a documentary we made. Feel free to take a screen grab of the QR code if you wish. I will be putting the resources. I'll be giving you a chance to get access to the resources at the end of the session. But it's a really interesting story. Essentially, Orla was groomed online, and 33% of 8 to 12-year-olds have reported to us that they're gaming with strangers online. 20% have followers or friends they don't know. And again, the aim is not always to meet with the child, but perhaps get them to send photos. Or Orla was groomed online for over 3 years. Her parents didn't know what was going on. She went down a rabbit hole with it, and before she knew it, she couldn't get herself out of it, and she was too embarrassed to tell. It's a really interesting story. So feel free to access that later on if you wish. Okay, now we're moving on to the pornography piece here. So let's just have a quick look at the statistic before I give you some advice. So 54% of, by the way, this data is taken from Common Sense Media, a research report in 2022. So 54% of 8 to 12-year-olds have reported viewing pornography before the age of 13. So 12 was the average age to view pornography for the first time. With more than half of 8 to 12-year-olds reporting that they viewed it accidentally, they maybe send a link, and boys more likely to intentionally consume pornography. This bit here is the bit that really I would ask you to focus on. 45% of 8 to 12-year-olds felt it gave them helpful information about sex, with 27% feeling it was an accurate depiction. So I think that's very worrying, you know. So my advice would be, it's so important, if you are a parent or a guardian or a carer, to discuss what a healthy, intimate relationship looks like with your child. To talk to them about physical intimacy in the context of a loving and respectful relationship, so that they understand that what's represented on porn sites is not a reflection of a real life relationship, because they need to hear the message that it isn't realistic. They need to know that what I would say to you is that you need to use age-appropriate vocabulary when you're discussing the area of pornography with your child, and that you're having these conversations not just once, but as the child gets a little bit older, that you're revisiting these conversations using age-appropriate language, so that they know that they can come to you, because the risk that we run here is that they may not come to you if they feel like their access is going to be taken away, if their access to their games and their devices. So it's about normalizing discussing online activity without judgment. So we don't want them to be afraid to come to us. But if you make this from quite a young age, where your child, some parents ask me, how old should my child be before I broach the topic of pornography with them? And I say to them, when are you going to give your child unsupervised access to a device? Because if your child has unsupervised access to a device, you need to talk to them about pornography and some of the images and risks that they're being exposed to. So consistency is key, revisiting conversations in a gentle way, using age-appropriate vocabulary, and then as they get older, revisiting that again. So I hope that helps a little there. It's hard for parents to navigate. It's a topic that guardians are wary of. They don't know how to approach it. So that would be my advice anyway, and just to consider the message that you deliver. And also a lot of these porn images and sites may be popping up in places where you would not think they would, like for example Snapchat. So just to be aware of that. So I won't dwell on that any further. I'll move on. Now, I'm not sure, I think our video will be okay, but it's just a very short video on how to approach the topic of pornography with younger children. So we'll just have a look.
We can choose what kinds of videos and pictures we want to look at. Sometimes people create or share videos or pictures of people who are wearing little or no clothing or showing private body parts. These pictures or videos might show people doing things that are inappropriate or should be private. We call this kind of video and pictures pornography. You might see pornography on accident when you are watching videos or click a pop-up on a tablet, phone, or computer. A friend might show you pornography or tell you about it. Pornography can be seen in magazines, books, signs, or on the internet. If you see pornography, you haven't done anything wrong. But if that happens, we want to choose to not look at it anymore.
Okay, so that's just give you a short idea of what
we can choose what kinds of.
That's just a short idea of how you can broach the topic with much younger children. And as I was watching that there, I was just thinking it's also really helpful to talk to the parents of your child's peer, because talk to other parents in your child's class if you get a chance. A lot of parents are working, they don't see them, and just to bounce some ideas off them. What are they doing? A really good resource is Common Sense Media. So I'll be putting some resources up at the end of the session, but talk to other parents, ask their advice. What are they doing? Because safety in numbers, and if a group of parents get together and say, well, actually, I'm not sure if you've heard of the Greystones initiative, where Hull schools have in County Wicklow have gotten together and decided they're not going to allow their children have a mobile phone until secondary school. And this initiative has been really, really successful. And now a lot of schools around the country are adopting the same approach. So, and that started by a group of parents coming together and, making a decision and being strong and talking to each other. So some practical advice now. So monitor your child's online activity as often as possible, and you can be very transparent about that and tell them you're doing it, and make them part of the process. Watch out for behavioral changes, discuss difficult topics, as I said, sooner rather than later, and revisit those conversations as the need arises. And encourage sharing without automatic punishment, because remember, they may not come to you if there's an issue if they feel like they're going to be punished. Now, just moving on, just do a short piece on gambling within gaming. So you may recognize these games here, FIFA and Grand Theft Auto. So the issue with gaming nowadays at the moment is that a lot of games are normalizing gambling. As I said to you earlier on, the PGI website does offer great advice to parents to help them make informed decisions when they're buying these games, and provide the guides, as I said there, the age ratings and the content descriptors. So it's important that we agree rules with our kids around spending. In fact, I would completely discourage any spending for your child under the age of 13 within these games, especially with those play-to-win games, loot boxes, which feature in the FIFA card packs. So what I would advise is that you remove your payment details altogether, and you can turn off in-app purchases as well on these games. If you go into the settings in the game, you can turn off the in-app purchases, because what a lot of kids are doing, I don't know if you've heard of it, but they're buying skins, these things called skins in game. Skins are virtual items that supposedly give a player an advantage in the game, and they bet their skins against other players online. But the whole point of this is it's embedding this addictive behavior potentially within our children. There's a risk of them developing addictive behavior. The gamble is that the buyer doesn't know what the purchase is until after the transaction, so it's exciting for them. And you know, it's encouraging addictive behavior is the take home point there. So just be careful and go into the settings in the game. Now, just very, very briefly, harmful content online on video sharing platforms. So what can often happen is a child can start out making a very simple search, for example, looking up tips on healthy eating maybe, or healthy eating recipes. It could start something like that. And very quickly, they could find themselves going down a rabbit hole, like the examples I'm showing there, where it leads them into self-harm websites and forums, which really isn't a good idea at all. And as you can see there, you're seeing some really inappropriate, scary stuff there. So we really don't want that them to be accessing that kind of information. So just to be mindful, monitor what they're doing, check their device, and if they're under the age of 13, and keep an eye on it, because it is scary what they can be looking at out there. So now we're moving on to self-image and body image. So there's increasing evidence that links social media to detrimental effects on mental health. I think there's no surprise there for us as adults. I'm sure, like myself, a lot of you are on social media, and we know, even as adults who are supposedly more resilient than a child, yet it has such a detrimental effect on our mental health. Imagine what that's doing to the minds of of our children. So they're comparing themselves to filtered images, celebrities, and even friends. I mean, it's gone crazy. It's completely unrealistic. So I suppose get them to question everything they see online is really, really important, and to just get that point across that not everything, in fact, most things you see online are not real, and to really educate them on that and get them using their critical thinking skills again there. 1 in 2 girls. So the Dove Self-Esteem Project was a really positive project that they ran, and 1 in 2 girls said idealized content was damaging their mental health. I don't think that's surprising at all. Excuse me. So yeah, it's just very easy for them to lose perspective. Excuse me, and buy into that toxic advice. So, sorry, dry throat. I'm going to show you a brief video of the Dove Self-Esteem Project now.
And everyone's having plastic surgery these days. See how many days you can skip lunch and dinner with a juice cleanse challenge. If your teeth are uneven, you can always file them down with a nail file. Baby Botox is amazing. It's a shortcut to flawless skin. Everything okay? Yeah.
Okay, just a short clip there. And just to point out on the next slide here, I won't dwell on it, but just to point out that this is not just an issue that's affecting young girls. This is also an issue that's affecting our young men. I'm not sure if you've heard of bigorexia. It's the obsession with muscle gain and encouraging young men to up their protein and spend all their time in the gym. There's an interesting article on the Irish Times there, which you have access to in the resources at the end. It's worth a read, but it's just pointing out that this is an issue that's not just affecting young women, it's also young men. Just briefly here, looking at how children are targeted with ads and scams, and very important that they understand how social media works, and just explaining to them that there's nothing for free with social media. It's tempting to click on these links and they're being promised, oh, if you fill in this survey, you'll get a free iPhone and so on. You can see there, the one in the middle, test your bond. The first thing they're being asked for is their full name. So they're already being asked to disclose personal information, and they're being promised something for free. These scams are often very colorful to entice children to click on them, and they're all often promising them something, and often a time limit on them to encourage them to sign up, give away their personal information. We don't know where that personal information is going to end up and what it's going to be used for. So just to encourage them to question everything they see online and not be tempted to click on these things, because it's not going to lead to anything positive. Yeah, just that also to point out, the vast majority of our young people that we've spoken to are getting their news sources from TikTok. So just to talk to your child and say that TikTok is not a trusted source for getting your news, and to offer them some alternatives. When the war in the Ukraine started, there was a huge percentage of children accessing news about it on TikTok, and there was such amounts of false information flying around about it. So just to be careful that they apply their critical thinking, that they consider the source, is it a reputable source of news, and that they check other sources and Google if it's a scam. And always the trusted ask an adult if they're not sure, like teacher or a parent. Okay, we're coming towards the end of the session, but I just want to give you some practical advice that you can apply. So just getting them to question what they see, remembering this best life that's being portrayed, and that everyone's life is perfect online, that it isn't the full picture, and really just keep a good balance online and offline, and to make sure that they're getting outside, that they're getting some exercise, some fresh air, all those old school things that we did before pre-internet, and that they have some balance. I would advise that you set a time limit when your child is online, and I'm just going to fly through that, and that you sit down with them and that you set some ground rules. So yes, we embrace the benefits, but also we reject the aspects that are putting a strain on our young people's mental health. So just developing positive habits. We've got about 5 minutes left. So thank you for bearing with me. I'll just show you this brief video now, and we'll give some final tips.
So, can you tell me about your day?
Well, today, actually, I was driving to the grocery store and I saw a dog.
Oh, you saw a dog?
Daddy, put your phone in the basket.
Basket's so crowded. Just put it in.
Oh, wait.
Put it in the basket.
The basket.
Put it in the basket.
It's the easy thing. Just put it in the basket.
Please put it in the basket. Right. That's the only thing that is me off
As long as it's in the basket, though, I can technically still touch it, right?
Okay, I'm sure we can all relate to this. So bit of light humor to add some levity to the situation there. But finally, I personally find this really useful. It's just a simple tip you can employ at home. Maybe it's a family agreement. You can scan the QR code. You'll see it in the resources. So really, it's about giving your child ownership of a set of rules and making them part of the rules. So even with a very young child, maybe they could you could choose a couple of these rules, such as we won't use devices at the dinner table, we won't use devices in the bedroom from an hour before bed, we won't accept a friend request from people we don't know. So every family is different. You could maybe choose 4 of those rules, and you could, if your child is very young, I would recommend you give them ownership of this, and they maybe on a piece of paper write out the rules, they can color it in. If you have a laminator, if you're a teacher, stick it up on the wall. They've been part of the process, so they know what the rules are. Get them to sign it. They agree to it. Everybody in the family signs this, and review it and maybe see how it's going. It's a simple tip, or you could even print out this one if your kids are a bit older. It's a simple tip, and I think it's it's something tangible that they can see, and you can say, well, you signed this, you agreed to this. So I hope that tip might be helpful. Finally, encouraging healthy tech habits. So have them monitor their usage themselves, have them take ownership of it, agree time limits, switch off some features, like autoplay. For example, I would suggest you use restricted mode on YouTube. Make sure autoplay is turned off on YouTube, and there are some really turn off notifications, of course, and access should be in a supervised area if your children are young. I'm just going to show you here some useful resources now. Common Sense Media is a great website. I would recommend you look at that for some advice. PEGI, that's the gaming advice that I spoke of. Webwise is absolutely a fantastic resource for educators, parents, anyone whose child is online. Check out Webwise, and of course ourselves. We've lots of useful advice on CyberSafe at the CyberSafeKids website. So just finally there, the parental controls. Yeah, so family pairing is a parental control on TikTok, and it allows you to customize your child's safety settings, and you can link your TikTok account with theirs also and see parental controls like daily screen time. So parental controls are great, but we have to also take responsibility ourselves and do the old-fashioned things like monitoring them and checking their device. But yeah, family pairing is very useful, and I would recommend you have a look at that and put YouTube into restricted mode, turn on safe search on Google. All of these tips you can access in the resources at the end. So final bits of advice there: normalize discussing online activity, do your own research, chat to your child's the peers, the parents, engage technical restrictions, but don't rely on them alone. And of course, model good behavior. So this is the a digital parenting booklet that we put together. It's really useful. There's some great tips in it, so you're very welcome to take a screen grab there of the QR code. It's a common sense approach to creating safer online experiences for your child. So I'll leave that up there just for a moment, and feel free to take a screen grab of that. And yeah, so this the QR code on the left, that's the resources, everything more or less that I went through today. Feel free to take a screen grab there. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and thanks for having me along today.
Thank you, Caitriona, for your presentation and for all the useful safety tips and healthy tech tips. So what I have taken from your presentation and also from Ana's presentation is the importance of communication. Like many parents are overwhelmed with information, and they think that they have to be like technology experts. And then they don't feel sure about themselves. Parents just need to kind of communicate and give some advice.
We've come to the end of our webinar now. If anybody logging on now has any additional questions, you can reach out to us individually. We will be sharing additional resources in a follow-up email. So if you have any questions that might pop up after this webinar, please share them with us, and we can find the most appropriate person to answer them for you. With that, we had mentioned that there was additional webinars that our partners would be hosting. So I'm just going to briefly share my screen one last time. Hopefully everybody can see it this time and it moves with me. So we have another webinar between the Netherlands and Cyprus, and that's happening next week. We're waiting on confirmation for that. And then another webinar which will be primarily in Hungarian, so maybe not suitable to the wider audience, between our Hungarian and Romanian partners. Finally, I just want to thank our two guest speakers, Ana and Caitriona. We are so delighted to have you and to have your expertise and be able to share that with our parents and our educators. So thank you both so much. To my partner Ivone in this. Thank you so much for your support, Ivone. And thank you for everything that you've done to support me with this webinar as well. And finally, thank you everyone, all the parents and all the educators who have joined. I recently sat down with another educator yesterday and asked, you know, what was the most important thing parents should be doing and how do they know they're on the right track? And she said by engaging in the likes of webinars and the likes of our podcast, that's the first step. You're doing something actively to learn more, to find the support you need to empower and support your children. So thank you so much for joining us today. I hope it's been beneficial to you. We'll leave it at that. I don't want to buy into anyone's time any longer. So thank you again, and we'll hopefully have the recording available in the coming weeks as well. So thank you, everyone.
From my side also, thank you everyone. It's been a real pleasure, and I hope that this recording of this webinar will also benefit a lot of parents in our community. So thank you all.